from EVs to dolls to bubble tea, Chinese consumers are spoiled for choice when it comes to spending, and one domestic product in particular is generating global attention in the form of a snaggletooth doll, Labubus. A creepy collectible or profit producer, the monster plushies have almost tripled their makers' profits and sent its stock market value jumping by more than 520% in the past year. Now, the furry monster has become the poster child for a cultural phenomenon known as emotional spending, which is powering growth in China's retail sector. A low-priced drinks, that's another one, soft drink and ice cream chain Mishra has seen its stock more than double since its Hong Kong debut in March. And experts say that young adults in the country are battling the rise in inflation and global uncertainty through small, accessible indulgences. And another breakout player has been Labubu Gold. The jewelry maker brands itself as China's Hermes and has gained an eye-watering 900% in the past year, as it caters to the country's Gen Z population, which lies at the heart of retail consumption in the country. Now, China has declared its ambition to become a mega-sized consumer powerhouse, and the government is supporting this transition with subsidies and other incentives.
We are on track to become a high-income country in an all-round way, supported by robust demand for consumption upgrade. We are intensifying our efforts to implement the strategy of expanding domestic demand by launching special initiatives to boost consumption. This will make China a mega-sized consumption powerhouse, on top of being a manufacturing powerhouse.
And for the very latest, we're joined by David Chow. He's Global Market Strategist at Invesco Asia Pacific. So, David, let's start off by talking about this consumption trend that is gripping China and the rest of the world, really. And it's also what the government is turning to for a more sustainable economic growth engine versus, the more traditional investments in manufacturing. And so, what is it telling you about the changing psychology of consumers and even the government? And whether this is going to be a sustainable option to drive growth versus, of course, a more traditional manufacturing?
Sure. Well, China's economy from the year 2000 until 2015 was propelled by property development. As people moved in from the rural areas into the cities, urbanization really fueled China's growth for 15 years. And then from 2015 until 2025, the government pivoted and really built up the manufacturing and supply chain power base that China dominates these days. So that came in the form of 2015, the whole Made in China 2025. And that has really been very successful. And then starting at the end of last year, the government made a very significant tilt towards consumption. And consumption is going to be a significant propeller for China's economy in the next 5 to 10 years. And so the basic question then is, what is going to fuel consumption in China? And I would say that, consumerism in China has changed significantly over the past 25 years. And it's gone from kind of a need to have. A need to have things like, a car or a refrigerator or an apartment to a want to have. And what is a want to have? So kind of things like emotional consumption, experiential consumption. So people buying things in China, not on, kind of appliances or these things, but like more on experiences, on traveling within China or outside of China, or even things like Labubu products, dolls.
So the government is kind of supporting that in a way, relying on it as a growth driver. And we've seen it through, subsidies and other incentives to kind of spur spending. Is this enough as a support, you think?
Well, I think that the consumption pivot will take some time. It's not a 1 year or 2 year thing. And we're going to see more measures, whether if it's a trade-in appliance, or other supportive measures to really boost consumption spending. I think that for the rest of the year, we'll see more relaxations for the property market, perhaps to stabilize the property market a little more. But because ultimately consumption behavior is based on, your perception of your job security and job wage growth. Right? So if you feel confident in your job and you feel confident that you're going to get a raise next year, then you're likely to spend more money. So I think that the government is going to have more targeted measures to boost both the property market and also consumer confidence.
And take a look at these businesses, these are IP businesses, right? How big a challenge would tariffs be for these IP businesses, and whether such emotional engagement is enough to offset potentially higher prices? And we were just talking about before we came on that people, even in Europe and the US, they're sporting Labubu dolls on their bags as well.
Well, I think that IP or intellectual property products are really going to be driving Chinese exports in the coming decade. We know that in the past, China has been kind of a copycat Me Too, and just exporting goods based on price and having the cheapest price possible. I think that's going to change. I think that the soft power in China is finally starting to come to the fore. And we saw that in other places, in Japan maybe 20 years ago, and Korea with K-pop in the past 5-10 years. I think China is going to also experience that. And we should really be watching manufacturers or exporters that are really exporting soft power related products.